All right, it's good to be back, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Charlie Shrem, your host, and you're listening and watching another epic episode of Untold Stories. We're together twice a week, and I'm sorry, last week I was traveling around trying to take a little bit of a vacation, pondering the next shows, but I know a lot of people missed. I'm so sorry. But we travel down this crazy rabbit hole and we meet the coolest people and we talk to and we have the best time to truly understand how this movement came to be, where we are right now, where we're going in the future. And we've been through a lot of bull and bear markets together. I feel like we've really spent the time digging deep and understanding so many different projects and companies, but most importantly, like kind of where the tides are. And it seems like Web3 or whatever everything is going to be built using this like layer is going to be how people reinvent the Web 2 and redo it on all these rails, but figure out a way to like create value out of things like relationships. Typically, the middlemen take the most fees and usually are the least transparent when they provide relationship value and things that are unquantifiable. And traditionally, that's where you'd have a lot of ambiguity. My guest today is going to talk to us about like how she helped change that with her first business in the casting world. We've talked to a bunch of people in the film industry, and we're very fortunate to have her today. But using the cat and then how she's turning that into a new company called Metaintro, which we're really excited about, and to be able to build out like a professional resume wallet for Web3 and using this all together, providing value from relationships. Lacey Kaelani, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
You're currently the founder of Metaintro. You started a professional casting network for media and entertainment called Casting Depot. Really cool. Everyone should check that out. You were involved in pitching shows, casting departments at various studios like in the MTV, Nickelodeon. Actually watched a great documentary about Nickelodeon recently.
Was it good?
Network. Yeah, it was so cool. Where do you want to start the show?
I mean, we could start with my background. I think that's a good tee to hit right before we dive into why I'm building what I'm building.
Absolutely.
So do you want me to just give you the
go
60
for it.
second? So my background is in casting. Early on in my career, I had an opportunity to go work for Nick Animation. I love animation. If anybody ever has an opportunity to pursue a career in it, I absolutely recommend. It's like just a bunch of big kids drawing for a living and playing for a living. So that was a lot of fun. At the time, I had an opportunity to move on to go work under the SVP at MTV in the casting department. Fell in love with unscripted casting and went on from there to work for a third-party casting agency where I got a handful of my credits ranging from Bravo, Food Network, Discovery, you name it, and had my first like entrepreneurial light bulb moment where I said, I think I can do this better than my bosses at the time. And so went to start casting agency where I focused on unscripted casting and unscripted development. So I spent a majority of my time developing just show ideas based off of characters that I would meet through my casting process. And so I spent time pitching to the major networks, to production companies, loved it. And through that process, it was always a headache to cast talent. If you're not familiar with the casting process, it's very similar to hiring. It's the same. The functions are exactly the
same.
You're
coming from it from like the perspective of the network or the TV show or the production that needs talent. I was on the other side watching my wife try to get work using the casting world, and it's like I would equivalent to like trying to do stand-up comedy on the street and trying to be. It's like it's grunt. You're pitching yourself with thousands of other actors, and then a casting director, a casting agent has to go and look at them and make a decision on a whim. Like, how is that? There's no filtering process.
No. And there's solutions on the market right now, legacy solutions that have been around for years that don't necessarily solve for the modern casting director's needs in terms of like filtering, for instance. Right now, the way that it works is you have 10 seconds of that casting director's attention span before they move on to the next
Crazy.
applicant. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And there's so many ways that you could solve for it. It's not like a massive industry in terms of, finding capital to venture back a new product, but
Sure.
the functions are very similar to an HR manager. You post a job, talent applies, you interview the talent, and then you select talent to move forward with. Um, and at the time, the legacy solutions that were on the market just sucked. Like they were awful,
Yeah.
and they didn't do all the things that I needed. So that led to my first startup. But casting in total, a ton of fun, especially on the unscripted side. It's just a super outdated process.
It seems like the only way to filter is if you're trying to like play the younger version of somewhere else, and that's like the of someone else. So it's like if you're doing
Yeah.
that, yeah, that's pretty. Then it's like all right, then it's but it's so difficult to do on both sides. So kind of how did you with Casting Depot develop ways to make it easier for folks to find the right talent that they needed?
Yeah. So before I went out to build the tech behind the marketplace, I had all of these like glued together solutions within my personal workflow process that allowed me to move faster. And, you do things that don't scale. Like that was like my first memory of doing something that just like truly didn't scale. And that led me to then say, how can I build a product that takes all of these like hodgepodge solutions that I've kind of come up that make the process work faster for me and move that into a platform? And then how do I give that platform to my friends? Because at the time, all of my friends were casting directors and film producers, and they all needed a solution like that. And so there were a ton of things that we did to kind of modernize the process for specifically the unscripted casting director, like being able to filter through applicants quicker,
It's like
having
the
a
most
more,
important thing.
yeah, like having a better profile on the people that are submitting. What else? Being able to auto schedule interviews, being able to share the talent options with the production companies or the networks more efficiently, and then being able to hire. And that process very specifically from, okay, selected a talent option to I'm going to hire them and then I'm going to pay them. Like
All through
that
the
is where we
system.
spent. Yeah. And we ended up running out of capital to be able to solve for that, but that's another
And that's well,
story.
a lot of you had the right idea because a lot of businesses don't think about like what the last mile is and solve for that. You can build everything else, but if you're not
Yeah.
going to solve for that last mile, then how is your business really going to change everything? And so that was definitely and still is a huge problem in that
Yep.
whole world in the entertainment world. But then so now like jumping it into Metaintro, did you see the same problems as it came to like did you see the same problems in our industry? How did you first touch crypto and like where did you find this problem the most?
Yeah. So I've been passively in crypto for about 5 years. The actual story of like how I got into it, I was going on a date with somebody that was in the crypto space. And before I went on the date, I was like, I should probably know what
Yeah,
crypto is. And
that's
so,
really yeah.
yeah. And that person still doesn't know to this day. But that was my first interaction with crypto. And since then, I've been like passively trading in the space. Um, and so with the last start with Casting Depot, when we were going through the sale process, at the time, a majority of my friends were pivoting into the Web3 space that were like all founder friends. And naturally, as an entrepreneur, like I don't know how to work 9 to 5. So like I'm thinking like, what else can I start? Like what are some things I'm super passionate about? What are some ideas that I'd love to like solve for, pain point solutions? And I thought a lot about my experience with building Casting Depot, and labor marketplaces solve for two problems. First, attempting to reduce the time to hire, like a Fiverr or an Upwork, or filling the top of the funnel with candidates like a LinkedIn or an Indeed. And with NFT and blockchain technology, you could specifically reduce the time to hire in a significantly faster way than like a Fiverr or an Upwork,
Hmm.
and even reaching a LinkedIn if credentials lived on chain. As a hiring manager, I would never have to spend time verifying skills. verifying work visas. Instead, my job is maybe filling the top of the funnel with candidates or making sure that there's a company or a culture fit between that candidate and the team. And that was my aha moment. Was like, there can be something interesting here. Like maybe I'll, start doodling my ideas down on paper. And that was very much the genesis.
So now your community is huge, thousands of people in Discord. You're launching a resume wallet, and that will include kind of the things that you talk about, your certifications, proof of work, credentials, but also like, potential relationships, people that you worked for, social connections. What's cool about this is that your Casting Depot and stuff, you were building a tech forward product for a section of the industry that still is like, if you look at these casting websites like Actors Access and the like, they're just built for
oh my gosh,
they're 90s websites.
Yeah.
So you build that, but now it's like here you have a tech focused industry that needs products to bring to those who don't know tech really, like applicants who are maybe like someone who's applying for not just a developer job, but someone who's applying to be maybe a teacher at a university and wants to have their credentials and their proof of work inside of like a tech. This person may not be tech savvy. A lot of our teachers were not.
Yeah, it's very different building in an industry that is very tech forward, coming from an industry that was not. Getting people to move in film on a new product was like moving a mountain. It was awful. And we iterated so many times. We're like, is it the language? Is the product too forward? Is it the market?
Yeah.
And I would be interested to talk to like a film producer and say, what is the last new product that you used?
There's a new Alexa camera that just got released. That's the newest.
Really? That's the new one?
That's like, you get a new camera. You should see they're still doing because I was on set last week, is that they're still doing sign in, sign outs on paper, chasing around people. Gosh. All the payments are done manually. We had hundreds of extras because it was like a school-based movie. So there's all like hundreds of kids that you have to pay in and out. Tutors on set. Oh man. Making movies is hard, but it's like a whole thing, but it's so low tech. It's so low tech. But at the same time, what are like some of the most popular jobs in Web3 right now? Because it's not just all developers. Half my listeners are working in other industries and they want to come over.
Yeah. So our Discord, it's been pretty incredible to be able to watch the market from the hiring perspective, because simultaneously, when new channels are added in our Discord, it's because of the trends that I'm seeing in the market and the new positions that are being added. So outside of like technical positions, the hottest channels in our Discord right now that are well paid, legal, developer relations, security, product and project management, obviously marketing, social, obviously community moderating. What else? Like our analyst channel is super hot right now. Finance, like all of these roles exist. And as these companies get larger, they're realizing, hey, I need a finance guy. I need an analyst, I need a product manager. And so that's what the industry is seeing right now, is the Web2 roles are popping up, and it's just the context of the company that you're working for is different. But the job descriptions for the most part look the same as a Web2 product or a company that's posting.
Is this like the killer application? For years, we've been talking about how do we build like this, and I'm going to quote, because it's like, how many times have we said this term, like Web3, right? Like Web3, and I love it, but the rest of the world is looking at us right now and they're really saying, okay, it's all talk, but how are you reinventing and fixing problems that we've had for 100 years? And it's interesting because one of the biggest problems, going back when I had my first startup, BitInstant, hiring, I still, multiple startups later, I still don't know how to hire because it's all low tech. Like, is Indeed.com the best we can do with the artificial intelligence world and all these other things that we're still using like an online version of a yellow book? So I'm looking at stuff like this now, and I'm saying you've taken a huge problem that we've had for 100 years is like staffing, and you've used this blockchain technology to like totally reinvent that for the rest of the world. It doesn't need to be a Web3 company that uses Metaintro.
Yeah, yeah. The North Star for Metaintro is to completely eliminate the PDF resume. And I believe that I can do that through our wallet. So, right now with wallets, most people have like a hot and cold wallet. I don't see why you wouldn't have a professional wallet that interacts with job applications. Then that wallet holds your credentials. And if I can look at a user and say, I'm going to reduce the time to hire for you so that you can make money, so you can have economic freedom, I will have that user. And the likelihood that that user goes back and has to use their PDF resume, is low because they've invested time into building out their Metaintro wallet. But
how are we looking at with headhunters and that section of like, I guess my question is, is there like a place for that industry inside of Metaintro? Because that is a huge, executive headhunting and management.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a few different companies now. My friend Rob actually does proof of talent, and he just got bought out by Anthony Pompliano. It's all relationship based.
Can I give you my honest answer, or do I give you my kosher answer?
Both.
So my honest answer is I don't believe that there's a space for headhunters and recruiters in the industry, just because it's very opposite of what Web3 is about. Taking that traditional Web2 model of taking somebody's salary for placement, isn't cool. I think that's the difference as to why our Discord community has grown versus other communities. We don't take a fee. We see a business model in other ways that's kind of like turned on its head.
A lot of the ways people get jobs is through referrals of friends. Is there a way to like incentivize people within the wallet to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think referral, how cool would it be if you got paid to apply to jobs? Like, what if there was an incentive every time you were placed that was, paid out by the community? I see that as, something within a utility for a token. That's very possible. What if you got, compensated for always updating and leveling up your resume? Like, what if we encourage job seekers to level up their resume through token incentives? Yeah.
No, you could totally do that. And you can have relationships between all these other people within the web wallet. I mean, once you turn the resume and you take like that PDF and you turn it into an NFT that can constantly be writable, it's almost like a Carfax, but
Absolutely.
a better version of it, but like for people.
Yeah, there's so many cool things that you can do. And sky's the limit. Even outside of just the hiring process, like what if one day the Metaintro wallet also was your wallet to receive your weekly pay stub, to be able to keep track of your tokens, that you're getting from working for these companies? What if we separated that? Do people care to have that separated? Will that be important one day? There's all of these things that like at night, when I'm laying in bed, I'm like, what if? Like, that would be so cool.
What about the data too? Does Metaintro have data that you could figure out, like follow the industry? Like even right now, can I ask you, what are people building? And you could tell by what the hirings that are happening within Metaintro.
Yeah, I can right now. Like, I can tell you that Intuit is building out their Web3 team, and they're, building out like a way to take in crypto, which most people don't know. DraftKings, I saw Walt Disney Company this morning was posting for like their new storytelling position. And so it's cool, at least from where I'm sitting, to be able to see all of these companies kind of figure out what their positioning is.
Wait, Disney is hiring a storyteller? I want to be a storyteller at Disney.
Oh yeah, it's so cool. It's posted in the No Code channel, so if you want to go apply.
Why is it important to have like a community of other job seekers hanging out with other job seekers and the people that are hiring and et cetera? Like, why is that important to have a Discord? And how did you build
Yeah.
one of the largest ones? It's huge.
Yeah. It it was built one by one. Literally one person from Twitter I'd take and say, you have to join our Discord, and bring them in. And I did that up until about like our first 1,000 users. And then I noticed people loved the value that I was giving in the Discord, that they started inviting their friends. And now the biggest source of referral in our Discord are people referring, or coming off of Twitter. And I think with the Discord, something super unique as well is that I would say 90% of the people in our Discord I've had a personal touch base with. Like, I know what job they're looking for. I know their skill sets. I've pointed them in the right direction. I've encouraged them in the morning, if they're having a tough day.
Oh, how do you
And that
scale that though?
you don't, but you do things that don't scale. And I enjoy getting to know my customers. I mean, my first 10, 20,000 people, that's my army, right? And if I have an opportunity to get to know those customers and at least have a touch base with them and make them feel like they're supported, making that transition into Web3 professionally, like I would stay up the extra hour at night to do that. And I do. That's really important to me. And people see that, they see the utility of it, they get a sense of community, and then they come back and they come back every day. They're checking the Discord, they're going onto Twitter, they're writing about us, they're sending intros. Like, the sense of community is very different in ours than other Discords. At some point we'll need a moderator. Like, there are definitely things that I
Yeah.
need help with, but I enjoy it.
Are you noticing that when people are getting hired, they're still sticking around the community?
Yes, absolutely. It is very odd for somebody to leave after they've landed a job. And what happens is they come back, they tell me that they've gotten a job, they say how amazing the community is, and then they'll stick around to act as like a reference in a way, or as like support. So there's a lot of ownership within the community. So they'll come back and say, this is how I got the job, this is how you do it. They'll attend events. They're still very much active. And I didn't have that at Casting Depot. I never knew if somebody got a job. Nobody ever really told me. I just kind of assumed. But here I have actual data that people are coming back, and it's public. You just go through the chat history and you'll see.
You ever think about starting a crypto workers union or something like that to
Yes.
advocate for the benefits of crypto folk all over?
Yeah. There's some guys that are also kind of building in the freelancer DAO contributor space, that came out of, I want to say ETH Amsterdam, and they pinged me about what they wanted to build, which was kind of like a workers union for DAOs, and they wanted to write a set of rules, that all DAOs abide by for their contributors, which I thought was super cool. DAO, that's just a little bit out of my realm.
Sure.
So there's not much I can contribute, but there are people that are thinking about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and I'd always comment, it's be careful who, because a community that was built organically, if they start to feel like they're being gamed or whatever, it's like a scary thing. But
Yeah.
you know that there's a huge potential here, at least to provide value added benefits similar to a film union without the union part. I want to join the Producers Guild just to say PGA after my name, but no, but they offer tons of different advantages. I've been told that there's a huge discount on airlines that are subsidized by the union. So I think things like that, a benefits type of setup, could be really cool, because there are definitely some aspects to doing things together. Do you I wonder if you can also, I'm just thinking about the data. I wonder if you can also in the future look at the data that you have and overlay it with the bear and bull markets. And I wonder what trends we'd see.
Yeah, it would be really cool to be able to see that, because even in a bear market, people are hiring. And I see people talking about it all the time on Twitter. People, and you see the headlines, the layoffs, right? A
Yeah.
lot of companies had some massive layoffs, but there's still 4,000 jobs that are posted in my Discord community a month. Despite all of that, from large companies, and if anything, some of these companies are staffing up and nobody's talking about that. And so I wish there was a way that I could take that data, like even today, and be like the market, like the jobs market is actually not bad right now. I mean, it sucks, with all of the layoffs, but all of these other companies are hiring, and that are large companies. But I don't have a way as of today to relay that data. So maybe one day I will.
Yeah, a lot of those layoffs too were like jobs that now those folks can go. There's like the whole broken glass thesis in economics that I'm totally misquoting and mispronouncing right now, but there's a definitely a theory there. But yeah, you're right. Like no one talks about how we go from one job to 1,000. They only talk
Yeah.
about when we go from 1,000 back down to 500. Same thing with like the crypto prices. They're saying, oh, Bitcoin's back at 22,000. I said, yeah, but it's up from zero in 10 years.
Yeah.
And all these other cryptocurrencies too, that we don't know what's going to be or how it's going to be, but we do know that there is this like really amazing technology out there, that like for some way now, for some like it connects individual people together in a peer-to-peer way, and allows us to do some crazy things. Like relationship mapping is one example that a lot of people talk about being able to solve. You can't do that yet. um, are you thinking that the resume wallet could interact with other types of applications and unlock different things? I'm trying to figure out where that will go.
Yeah. In the wake of just building this product, I've been more cognizant to focus on just one problem and one tool that solves it. Um, but there are some things that you could do, and maybe people will build on top of our wallet. Maybe we'll end up building it. Like, for instance, right now, how do you prove your contribution to DAOs? Like, and that stuff is traditionally gated, right? Can you use your Metaintro wallet with the credential in the wallet to auth into the community? Yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't. And that's probably not a crazy build. I think that's maybe more of a matter of building out like an API.
What about privacy?
Yeah, privacy is a big issue, and not a lot of people ask me about that because, um, with having a wallet, there are some things that we're starting to think about that will come up. For instance, when you use your wallet to apply to a job, how long does that recruiter have access to your wallet? Is it a snapshot in time from that wallet? Do they have indefinite access to that wallet? What if that job seeker doesn't want you to have access to that wallet indefinitely? And like right now, it's interesting because that's only an issue within Web3. If I were to ask a candidate, how many people do you think have your PDF resume? How long do you think they've
It's
had it
everyone.
for? Everyone. Yeah. And probably nobody can give me like an actual answer to that because they don't care.
But if we could maintain privacy, yeah, if we could maintain privacy, with there are certain aspects that I would want to hold back. Like for example, even the years of when you worked, LinkedIn, it gives people like basically like a timeline of where we've been and what we've done in our whole lives. That's like
Mm-hmm.
private, and that prevents a lot of people from joining a lot of these networks that would otherwise be amazing candidates, especially for deeply technical related problems. A lot of people don't want to put their credentials out there. People have worked for the
Mm-hmm.
government, people have worked for, but if you could do it in a private way and allow for like, and you said something brilliant right there. You said it's only a Web3 problem. Well, Lacey, I would go back at you and I would say it's only a Web3 problem because it can be solved by Web3. It's always been a problem, but we can solve it now.
I
Like,
appreciate that challenge. But
yeah, that's
you
the
even
key.
brought up, piggybacking off of that, you just also brought up a good question is what about people in security that work for the government? Like, how would they use this wallet? And like, what does the security for that look like if that's the case? What if the US government came to us tomorrow and said, we want to use Metaintro wallets? Like, how do we use this for our employees? I don't know. I haven't like thought through a solution.
Guys, I am so excited to talk about our newest presenting sponsor, SafePal. SafePal is an all-in-one solution. You got a beautiful hardware wallet. You have this amazing fireproof cipher. You got a mobile wallet, an extension wallet similar to MetaMask. You're talking about an all-in-one solution for all of your crypto needs. Founded in 2018, SafePal is a Binance Labs-backed Singapore-based company, the venture arm where their mission is to make crypto secure and simple for everyone. You got cross-chain swapping, trading services, and more. SafePal supports over 40 different blockchains. I mean, check this out. Look at this. If you back up your private seed in this beautiful metal SafePal backup here and you keep it in your safe, fires or water or nothing degrading over time, you should not be backing up your crypto on pieces of paper. I mean, look at this. Look at the S1 here. It's so cool. This is the hardware wallet. You're talking, I'm used to using the Trezor or the Ledger wallet, but SafePal is a lot better because not only do you get the hardware wallet and the backup cipher, but you also get the mobile wallet, the extension on your Google Chrome or whatever Firefox you use. So it all works together. You don't have to worry about man-in-the-middle attacks and everything like that. You can go to safepal.com, use the coupon code Charlie, and you'll get any of these amazing products. The extension wallet is free, the mobile wallet is free, the hardware wallet and the backup are really, really well priced. It's all super safe and secure, and I love it. I mean, there's no other way you should be using your crypto than SafePal. The answer could potentially be that governments, like the federal law enforcement in the U.S., they're like licensed companies. There's a certain, like, if you want to be a defense contractor, if you want to have a defense company, anything related to like even private security or anything related to like security or government work contracting, there are certain type of contracts that were given out or different type of organizations that have the certain licenses. For example, Blackstone, Booz Hamilton, all these different companies. Those companies, the government's okay with their employees working at these companies. So you'd essentially have like companies that are already regulated in a certain aspect. Because they're regulated, it opens up them to certain candidates that can only work for these companies. And the smart contracts can do all that work for you and can be all permissioned. And just like permissionless is great, something like this is permissioned, because that's a perfect example. America could really change that, because if people are working in the government and we want them to come to the private sector, they can't tell us what they've done in the government. But if you are the CEO of like a defense company, you have the clearances to be told what that person did. And therefore you can now relationship map. And I think that's a huge killer application.
I'll put it on the thought board.
Yeah. Like permissioned resumes, I think, has a huge advantage, because you can come back to that. And I'm still going back to like, do you think now you think we're turning this tide in this bear market? We've been probably in 6 to 8 months, we've been through like negative price action. Are you seeing anything different now than you did then in terms of hiring?
Yeah, I mean, right now, the power in terms of setting comp packages is definitely in the employer's hands. Prior to that, power was more, it was definitely more in the job seeker's hands, even for like more specifically for a technical person. And so I'm not sure how many employers have realized that, but negotiation power is definitely in their hands.
The similar thing is like in the, it's a similar way in the real estate market. But that's not like a bear market per se. That's more of like, you'd have like a buyers and seller market, but deals are still, there's so many people that are still surprised. They see the layoffs, but they also see the hiring and the VC capital investment and things like that. I was trying to figure out, you see any VC funds, like traditional large hiring for certain types of roles, like in our space?
Absolutely. I see them in my finance channel. So Andreessen obviously has like a massive crypto team. They're always staffing up for them. I've seen Pantera. who are the other big funds.
Do you charge for anyone to join a Discord?
No, it's free. I mean, I could be making money off of it. It's just, I don't believe that that's what I want to be creating revenue off of, at least today. In the future, maybe there's like a locked category that you have to pay for. We also have a bi-weekly newsletter that goes out that's, seen a little bit of traction, and, maybe I charge to post in that because that gets extra eyeballs. It's interesting, on our newsletter, the audience is primarily made up of VCs and execs. And then the Discord are like everyday job seekers. So, maybe one day I'm charging to be posted in the newsletter, but that's not where I want to be spending my time right now. And it feels like icky.
Yeah, but this is like the perfect time for my listeners to check it out, because there was a point in time where Uber was charging very cheap rides because they were focused on user growth, and you're now focused on user growth, and you're launching your first product soon. So, and the fact that you're able to speak to people almost individually and provide that service where you could be charging for that in the future too, I think it's a very important time. Do you ever feel that people that stay in Metaintro after they've gotten hired, are you ever nervous that they won't be super loyal to the company that they're working for because they're constantly always looking out for the next thing? Is that ever an issue?
Yeah, I think that's an issue across the job market in total. I mean, our employees that aren't even, employee number 2, number 3, number 4, anything past that, are they even are they entertaining other job offers or ideas? Totally. I think that's super natural. But that's not necessarily my problem if the employer isn't providing a good compensation package.
Yeah, really. That's a good point. Yeah, you'd almost expect people to be doing that because they are at the same time. And what's cool about it is that once they've come to Metaintro first, and they start using the wallet, it always stays in their history that they've used Metaintro, and employers down the road will look at that and wonder what this community is and how they can get involved, and that's where a lot of your customer acquisition will be too.
Yeah, it's kind of like a walking Trader Joe's bag in a way,
but it's the Web3 version of it.
But the Web3 version, yeah. And I think that sales pitch is the same to educational companies. For instance, I was doing stages this morning with an educational company that's issuing NFT badges as proof of completion for the courses. And I was like, why wouldn't that be in a Metaintro wallet? It's a walking advertisement for any other person that sees that wallet. They're going to go, oh, what is that educational company? Where is that badge from? And so you can look at the wallet also as an advertising company in a way, once we get to scale. But that's all to say, the idea is that employers see it. They go, oh, what's Metaintro? They check us out. They use our API. And then they use us also to hire in our Discord.
So Lacey, to kind of sum up a lot of what people call NFT, you're not looking at NFTs as art at all. There's zero, maybe it'll look beautiful, but in terms of NFTs as art, where everyone thought that was what it was going to be, you're no, NFT is this mobile resume wallet instead. That's really cool.
Yeah. And I mean, technically they're entities, because you don't want people transferring out whatever the proof of is. But for mass consumer sake, it's an NFT,
Yeah. I'm not sure if that term is going to be retired or it'll be co-opted back into. There have been so many terms, no one remembers DLT. There was this, I hated it. 2015, it was distributed ledger technology. I said, we need to just go back to blockchain. So thankfully that term was retired.
What do you think about the term Web3? Does that drive you nuts?
Yeah, because it's such a general, it makes no sense. It's such a very general term that implies, but I use it to basically create a difference between how we've been doing things since, in my view, like the early 2000s, you know, until now, like the past 20 years, the internet has completely reshaped the way we've done everything. Like everything, like the internet. You can't sit here and tell me that internet has revolutionized sliced bread. Everything, you know, this new mapping thing, whatever people call web 1 or web 2. So that's not going away. It's not a new category, but the internet, when it was built, and this is not a quote from me, but we've had people on the show that have literally built the internet. They've told me that this thing that we use today, even for this Zoom, is just one layer and it's not built to do all these different things. So it was just hodgepodge together. There's probably 15, agencies listening to our podcast before I release it. I'm probably being tapped right now. Like, there's no security or safety. There's no privacy going on in most of these technologies, browser history, all these different things. I talk about half the things we're going to talk about on this podcast. I'm going to get ads for it in an hour from now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we need to rebuild everything from scratch and incentivize the folks that are using this, or else the other side of it, you'll see a massive, people laugh, but you'll see a massive, you'll see a massive revolution against technology down the road. People will just you ever see Black Mirror, that episode where they had all these cities and communities without any technology? Those will exist. And I don't want to see humanity going back in a direction.
That would be insane.
Although it would be cool to visit a place where you couldn't use your cell phone.
That would be kind of cool. I mean, when's the last time you were interacting with people and didn't have any technology around, even your phone?
When I was in
camping
prison 5 years ago, 7 years ago, that's literally the last time, not having, and it took me weeks. Great. It was so weird because waking up in the morning in there, it took me weeks to not have a phone to grab in my pocket.
Whoa.
It was a weird thing. I would walk around with a little notebook just because I was uncomfortable not having anything on me.
Wow.
Really weird. Yeah. Just write little notes. I always have paperback book in my pocket. But Lacey Kaelani, thank you so much for coming on Untold Stories today. I really appreciate it, teaching us a lot. And I'm excited to follow you guys' Metaintro. I'm excited that our fund, Drew Adventures, you guys are part of our portfolio team of companies here, and to see how we can help you there, and to hopefully hang out in LA.
Yeah, hang out.
I'll see you later.
Thanks for having me.